In this episode, we are taking you to the northwestern part of Galicia in Spain. This city, A Coruña, is so different to anywhere else you will visit in all of Spain. It has the longest promenade in all of Europe. It has the oldest working Roman lighthouse in the world, and there are no tourists. In fact, the old town is so quiet. I think we saw maybe two people, but the history there is amazing. It's a massive big plaza where there's nobody. And then you come across the bustling old town. And we tell you all about why the houses don't face the sea and everything else you need to know about visiting A Coruña. It's a fascinating city. So keep listening and enjoy episode 141, all about A Coruña. Good morning, Lyle. How are you today?
Buenos dias, Leonita.
And welcome to episode 141 of the Beach Travel Wine podcast. As I said in the intro, we are in northwestern Spain, right up the top on the coast, in a city called A Coruña. Yeah.
Yes, A Coruña or La Coruña.
That's it.
Depending on whether it's the Galician pronunciation or the Spanish.
The Spanish. We went to A Coruña from Santiago de Compostela and we caught the train. But do you want to tell us how you can get there if you're not in Santiago?
Yeah, well, basically, look, it's located on the northwestern Spain on a peninsula in the Atlantic Ocean. Part of the Galician region, it is a historic port city known for its rugged Atlantic coastline, Celtic roots, and a mix of old world charm and modern vibrancy, featuring landmarks like the ancient Tower of Hercules lighthouse, the glass-fronted buildings, and the excellent seafood.
And if you Google A Coruña, you'll see the Tower of Hercules and the buildings.
Yeah. Now, it's only about between 7 and 10k from the airport, the city centre. You can fly into A Coruña Airport directly from Madrid or Barcelona, and other international cities are available.
Because it's quite, which you'll get to a bit later, it is an area where they have quite a substantial surfing competition.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, it's actually on the World Longboard Series. Yeah. So obviously surfing is a big thing, which we'll explain a little bit later. A good option to get there is either from Madrid or Santiago de Compostela, as Leanne said, we did, by fast train.
Yeah, was it like 30 minutes or not quite half an hour?
Yeah, it wasn't far at all. And and it's beautiful scenery.
And the train station in Santiago is very central, and the train station in A Coruña is not that central to where we were staying, but it was very easy to get a taxi.
Yeah, there was a taxi rank opposite basically the railway station.
And we arrived on a Sunday, so even then it was pretty easy to get there.
So you can also get there by bus or car, and also, as we said, it's a seaport, so it's a bit of a big deal with people from the UK and Ireland coming to do the Santiago de Compostela. The Camino.
The Camino, yeah.
Yeah, the Camino.
It's the Camino de Ingles.
Yeah, because you can directly sail from the UK into the port here, and that's the start of the Ingles Camino.
All right, well, it has a bit of a unusual history. You know, it doesn't have the normal, taken over by the Moors and all that sort of stuff. Because it is so far northwest and it is rugged coastline and it's closer to like the northern countries.
Yeah, the area was home to the Celtic Tabri tribe. The oldest part of the city sits on an ancient castro, but basically a hill fort. Romans established a colony called Brigantium in the 1st century BC, building the iconic Tower of Hercules lighthouse. The city faced Viking incursions and was held by the Moors before being reconquered by Spain. A Coruña served as a staging point for the Spanish Armada in 1588. The next year, Sir Francis Drake attacked, but the city's defences, rallied by Maria Pitta, repelled him. The city was the site of the Battle of Corunua in 1809, when British forces under Sir John Moore fought the French before evacuating. The humanitarian Belmis expedition which vaccinated against smallpox in the Americas, sailed from A Coruña in 1803. Now, that was the first ever humanitarian expedition ever in the world. So I thought that was pretty amazing. Merchants in A Coruña primarily traded in Spain's abundant local resources like wine, wool, fruit, oil, salt, and fish, while also handling valuable colonial goods and American silver that flowed through to its busy ports, especially after Spain's colonial expansion, supplying timber and naval stores to the nearby Ferrol arsenal, which Ferrol is Ferrol, arsenal, and serving as a crucial hub for Northern European trade. So it had a pretty substantial history, really.
Well, because of the port.
Yeah, again, the port. So add in the port. They do cruises. It's only about 5 minutes walk to the central city.
So it's a cruise terminal.
It's a cruise terminal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm not going to get many because I didn't hear anyone talking about it. And we were there for 4 days and didn't see any. So
yeah, well, apparently it's only about 5 minutes walk from to the city centre. So it's well set up as a cruise terminal.
Sure. Now, our accommodation, it was probably the best accommodation we ever had in Spain.
Yeah.
However, if we went back to A Coruña, I wouldn't stay there again. I would stay somewhere a little bit closer to where all the action is. We did have beautiful views, but as we'll explain later, the beach area isn't where it all happens in A Coruña, which makes it quite unique. But it was a huge apartment. It was on the 6th floor. And it was a lift, and the views we had of the beach were just stunning. And the day we got there, it was like, I'm sure they don't have these days very often. It was sunny and calm, and it was just so picturesque. And all these things we're talking about, as you say in every podcast, I've got pictures of them because I've got one of the balcony because we were able to sit out there and have our breakfast and coffee and then wine at night and get our washing dry. But what was fascinating about the balcony and the view was 1 minute, and it was this same day. We've got this gorgeous sunny view, and then you could see over to your right, which I imagine's north, the fog rolling in, and it was moving quickly. Anyway, so it just rolled in, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then the next picture I took from the balcony is you can just see the rooftops. You can't see the beach. It's just full on fog.
Yeah.
And then it cleared away and at nighttime, and then the next picture I've got is the beautiful nighttime views. Yeah, the lights and the reflection on the water of the promenade. That changed all within a couple of hours. It was pretty incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, for me, my favourite part of the apartment was we just had this spectacular view of what they call the Paseo Maritimo, which is basically the promenade. It's Europe's longest urban seaside promenade.
Just say it's Europe's longest urban seaside promenade, right? So, and there's a lot of promenades in Europe, and it's the longest. And it was 13 kilometres?
13 kilometres or 8 miles, depending where you're from, which surrounds the crescent-shaped Playa de Resort and the Playa de Orzan. Now, both those beaches are right next door to each other. I don't know why they don't just call it one beach, but anyway. But it's like...
It's a beautiful promenade.
It is absolutely beautiful.
It's wide. But, it's not like you would imagine a tourist town to be, like a Spanish seaside town, I should say. You would think there's that promenade, there's 13 kilometres of beach, that there'd be people and cafes and... this is a working, living urban side of town. So all the buildings that are on the promenade are residential.
Yep.
And there are very few cafes and restaurants, and the ones that are there are just your tiny little local ones.
Yeah.
There's even office buildings. There was a soccer stadium or football stadium you could see. This is the working part of town on the beach. It's so unusual.
Yeah, it's very unique.
And locals just walking, jogging, just doing the daytime stuff. You don't get the electric scooters and all the touristy stuff that happens in a lot of the other cities.
It's very much a locals town, but there was always something happening at the beach. Always. There was a lot of surf lessons. There was fishing. It was really well organised because I suppose it's such a big promenade, remember the signs and they had, and it was like designated areas. So if I assume if you're going to go and meet some friends there, you tell them which one it is, and that's where you are. But
and they had ramps down, didn't they?
Yeah.
So the promenade's up quite high, and ramps down. We could see from our balcony, we could see people doing surf lessons from where we were, and just people just hanging on the beach. It was a great view, wasn't it?
Yeah, well,
and it was because it was floor to ceiling glass in the apartment too.
Yeah,
not just the balcony.
Yeah, well, we did the walk as we always do. Obviously, one of the favourite things is the Tower of Hercules.
Well, tell us about that. I know you've written some stuff there, because I just found the history of this quite fascinating. You walk along the promenade and there's a bit of a headland. It's quite high, and on top of it is I guess it's a lighthouse. It is a lighthouse. It's called the Tower of Hercules, and it's just standing there. And it's the oldest working lighthouse in the world or something.
Correct, right? I'll give you the deal.
Yeah, do that.
The Tower of Hercules, the world's oldest operating Roman lighthouse, built in the 1st century and a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
So it's built in the 1st century and it's still a lighthouse today.
Yeah. Unique for its Greco-Roman origin and structural integrity. It's made of Roman masonry and later additions featuring a square base with an octagonal top offering panoramic views of the Atlantic and A Coruña's harbour, and remains a vital navigational landmark today. It stands on a 57-metre rock, rising another 55 metres, making it over 100 metres tall. So it's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, you can see it from away. I've got some really nice photos of that as well, because we walked along the promenade. Now, the promenade itself has got these beautiful light fittings along it, and the balustrades along it are substantial.
It looked a bit Gaudi-ish, I thought, which is obviously very, what's the word, outlandish.
Yeah, it's not your
design.
Standard pole with the light on it.
No, beautiful. And
they were red orangey colour, weren't they? And you could keep walking up past the Tower of Hercules. There was some more gardens and residential around there. There was an aquarium there as well, but it was down a bit further down the cliff, and we didn't go into that. But you just keep expecting to come across an area where there's a plaza with restaurants and cafes, and there was none of that. It was
not in that area. No.
And that whole way along, we did find a spot where we went a couple of nights and had a couple of drinks, but that was just locals sitting having a drink. It wasn't buzzy with food areas. We found that later.
But I suppose the one thing which you could really see is very few tourists.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very few tourists.
Well, let's talk about one tourist we did run into. Well, it wasn't a tourist.
Can I just tell you about my favourite sculpture?
Oh, on the promenade?
On the promenade.
Sure.
It's called the Fonte dos Surfistas. Look, it was basically just 2 surfers, and it was a local sculptor did them, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, so they're life-size sort of surfers on boards, and the water is like an infinity pool almost. So
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and the way it goes up behind, it's very clever and I've got a really nice photo of that too. So this is episode 141. So beachtravelwine.com, and it's the latest podcast episode is 141. So go and check out the pictures that go with that. Now, in the area we were, as I said, was more residential, but it's not that big a place, so it was easy to get to the other bustling parts of town. But we did go for a walk this day to the supermarket. We went and got some breakfast supplies and some wine and that sort of stuff. And then we were sort of out wandering around the area trying to find somewhere to go. And we're walking past this guy coming towards us walking a dog.
Oh, that's right.
You remember?
Yeah.
And he had a T-shirt on that said "G'day Sydney."
That's right.
We said, hola. We like your T-shirt. Anyway, this guy was from Sydney.
That's correct.
And he lived in A Coruña.
Yeah.
Just like there would be no other Aussies living in A Coruña, I wouldn't imagine. And we just happened to come across him on that day. So
pretty sure his name was Sam.
It was Sam. Yeah. Sam from Sydney. And luckily he gave us some great information on where we should go and eat. And we're going to tell you about one of those places a bit later as well. But that was just so it was nice just to have a chat to someone and get some ideas of where we should go and what we should see. And he loves A Coruña.
Yeah, he adores it. Yeah,
it was just a bit of freaky, or it was nice to run into someone that you could have a bit of a chat to. So the promenade, yes, we've done like the tower, how beautiful it is, the surfing sculpture, but we did walk around that a bit, which is a great flat, wide spot for us just to do our exercise in the morning, wasn't it? And I can imagine if I lived there, that's exactly what I would do as well.
It's probably one of the most stunning beach areas I've ever seen. And I'm not just talking about Spain, I'm talking about everywhere we've been. It
so
is that nice.
Check out the photos I've taken. Now, on the other side of the bay where we were was San Pedro Hill. And we were recommended to go there. A beautiful big garden area, and there's like an observatory there as well. We didn't get there because we were going to go up the funicular. They built a funicular, but it's closed down a few years ago, and I'm not sure if they're going to reopen or not. And it's quite a walk to get there from where we were. As we said, the promenade's quite long. So with my dicky hip, I just didn't want to be walking up too many hills. But
the other side of it too, we were really only there for 3 days.
But we did decide that we'd do a walking tour.
Yep.
Because they're like, we've got to be missing something here. Like, we've got this part. There doesn't seem to be restaurants and things. Like, tell us. We need to find out more about A Coruña, right?
Yeah.
And so we met our guide there was a big garden area over near the port, yeah?
Yeah.
And we'd actually got there a bit early and had a look through it anyway.
Of course.
Yeah. And to me, one of the things I remember there are the beautiful big magnolia trees, like massive flowers, right?
Yeah.
And there was a couple of unusual things. There was a bandstand and a clock and
a rose garden.
Yeah, beautiful rose garden. And what was really interesting, on one side there was the port area, and then there was this busy. It was like any city street. It was so busy, cars and buses and people. It was just such a different vibe to where we were, and it wasn't that far. Like, A Coruña is not that wide.
Yeah,
it's probably 4 blocks wide in that area.
Yep.
But I think your favourite in the park was?
Yeah, there was a life-size bronze statue of John Lennon,
and no reason, only that the mayor at the time really liked the Beatles and thought that'd be something to bring people to town.
Yeah. We've actually seen a couple of other statues of John Lennon in Spain.
Yeah, he was in Almeria, I think.
That's correct, that's right.
But he was there because he'd actually been there and written a song that they say was inspired by there. But yeah, this was just like, let's put John Lennon here, which was a bit random, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, we met, our guide's name was Alex.
Yeah.
And hats off to Alex. He was brilliant. He was so good.
6 of us?
Yep, there were 6 of us. Yep. And we met at the Jardines de Mendes Nunes, which was what we've just explained now, that part. After Alex introduced himself, he gave us a brief history of the A Coruña, and also explaining that A Coruña was split into 3 sections: the old town, the old merchants section, and the harbour. He explained the original old town was mainly inhabited by the nobility with their coats of arms on display and the church.
Or you said nobility, or he said novelty.
Novelty, that's right.
Took me a while to figure out what he was saying.
Yeah, it was funny. But I tell you what, I thought Alex was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
So he explained why Coruña is also known as the City of Glass, because of its distinctive 19th century glazed balconies called gallerias, which line buildings, especially along the waterfront on the Avenida de la Marina. The galleries are iconic with their white wooden frames and large window surfaces appearing like endless rows of windows facing the harbour.
And once again, I've got some really, like, a great photo showing this, because it doesn't sound that impressive, but when you see it, it's amazing.
And also, not only when you see it, when you understand what it is.
Yeah.
So they were built to maximise light and heat. These gallerias were originally built for fishermen's homes, giving them a direct connection and view to the port.
So underneath them, they have the big archways, right? And that's where they used to pull their little boats in at night under the archways. And then there was like 2 or 3 stories above, and that whole wall is these white, and it's not they're wooden. It's quite substantial, the white wooden parts around them. Now, you say sun and light, but he also said this is the back of the buildings.
Yeah, that's right.
So the front entrance is around the other side, because the weather in A Coruña, it's particularly known for it being very windy and having some cold, wind and rain. And so they put the back of the buildings to the weather, so the front was calm and nice and protected. So
yeah, which made it really unique.
Yeah.
This place,
because most people want to look at it, right?
yeah, and whereas it's the opposite there.
They want to protect themselves, yeah. So that's very, very unique to that area. And then, so now, of course, those archways underneath the building aren't fishermen's boats anymore,
No.
as you can imagine. Now, one of the things he said to us is, did we know what the biggest exports of A Coruña were? Do you remember that question?
Yep.
And we knew one of them, which was beer.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things that you can go and do. It's the Estrella.
Yeah. Galicia.
Yeah, Galicia Estrella beer. And there's the factory, and you can go and do a tour of that. It's just a bit out of town, and I couldn't find transport while we were there to go and have a look. But apparently it's really fascinating. So that's like, even today, it's one of the biggest producers of cerveza in A Coruña.
Yep.
And the other one is fashion.
Yep.
Because Zara, the world fashion brand, was started or founded here in A Coruña, and the owners of Zara, or some of the owners, it's obviously a family now, still holiday here in A Coruña. And he pointed out their house to us, and as he was talking, a Maserati zoomed, well, not that fast because it's pretty pedestrian, but just came past us and then basically pulled into the garage of the Zara house. So we saw Mr. and Mrs. Zara.
Well, actually, I think it was his daughter, the original founder's daughter's taken over. But yeah, a really interesting story. Yeah. And the fact that they still holiday there is pretty incredible. And he told us how many stores worldwide they had and all that sort of stuff, which I didn't take in, but it was pretty incredible.
Now, so around the port, we've chatted about the history, and so then we go into the old town. Now, I didn't realise that A Coruña had an old town, because it's almost separate from most old towns are smack bang in the middle, and then the modern stuff's built around it. But A Coruña is different. It has it sort of on one peninsula side, and then the rest is built out from that. So unless you know to go to this area, you wouldn't go there. So we went into the old town, and immediately you are struck by how quiet it is.
Yep.
Most old towns, the cobblestone streets, there's people walking around. They've got the tourist shops, they've got the cafes, they've got it all happening, gardens, all that stuff. In the old town of A Coruña, no. But it has some fascinating old buildings, doesn't it? Like, the first thing we came across was that old church, wasn't it?
Yep. Our first stop was Iglesia de Santiago, the city's oldest church, a 12th century Romanesque temple famous for welcoming pilgrims on the Camino de Santiago and featuring intricate granite carvings, including a St. James on horseback on its facade and a fabulous rose window.
Mm.
Now, the other thing about which was different that I hadn't seen before, Alex pointed out the stonemason symbols on the churches.
So the people who did the carvings actually put their signature.
Yeah, well, the building blocks who actually built it, the stonemasons. So, yeah, that's what that was.
Okay.
Yeah. And
so I put this brick here, so I'm going to put my initials on it.
Yeah.
So early graffiti almost.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. Okay. So, but I just found that fascinating.
Yeah.
Then there was the next place we visited was the Convento Iglesia de Santo Domingo.
And we've seen nobody at this stage.
No, and
there's just
no
us.
And there's
only Mr. and Mrs. Zara and us.
Yeah, that's right. And there's no services. There's no shops. There's nothing there. Now, this convento is a historic Baroque complex rebuilt after English attacks, known for its unique, seemingly crooked tower aligned with the church axis, not the facade, and notable features like the Los Remedios Chapel and the Rosary Chapel, housing the city's patron saint, the Virgin of the Rosary.
Now, when Lyle says there's nothing there, It's just houses and churches and things where people live.
Well, those houses were obviously palaces
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
nobility.
Yeah, but there's no shops for them to go and buy food. There's not one restaurant for them to go out for dinner. And we'll tell you why. What sort of how that happened, hey?
Yeah, and basically this whole old town was for the nobility and the church.
Yes.
That's really what it was for. So there's another
and they all had their coats of arms on their buildings.
Yeah, that's right. And we'll tell you later how that's how the merchants basically stuck it up the nobility a little bit later. Now, the Convento and Plaza des Barbaras is another historic monastery located in the Plaza des Barbaras, dating back to the 15th century, dedicated to St. Barbara, the patron saint of architects and firefighters. I don't know why I knew to put that in, but I did. So basically, you're walking through, as Leanne said, the cobblestone street. You're seeing all these historic, beautiful churches and convents. And then you come to the main plaza, the Maria Pita Plaza.
Now, this is just on the edge of the old town.
On the old town,
and
yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but I've got one of my favourite photos that I took of A Coruña, which is on the website, is the walk down the stairs through that narrow street to get to the huge, biggest plaza, Plaza Mayor Maria Pita Plaza. And the houses next to it are the beautiful blues and oranges and yellows and little gardens out the front. It's one of those Instagrammable sort of photos, but it's really beautiful, and I think it's iconic for A Coruña as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's huge.
And so we walk down this street and there's the City Hall building at one end of this massive plaza, huge. I think there might have been 3 other people in the whole plaza. Yep. Like, I've never been to a plaza in Spain ever where there's been no people.
Yeah.
It was insane, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was just unreal, the feeling of, like, you've got this whole historic old town with these amazing churches and the architecture in those, and you've got the convents and the little plazas, and there's one place in the old town where there's a fountain that has 4 spouts, and at one stage everyone had their own spout.
Yeah, the church had one spout, the nobility had one spout, the poor had one spout, and there was no crossover, Yeah. So, but I think it just really comes down to that there's just very few tourists. So when we're doing this walking tour, all the locals are at work.
Yeah.
So whereas we're used to going to places with lots of tourists and they fill these squares.
Yeah.
So I would imagine if we went back at night, that square would be full of people.
Yeah, but there's no restaurants or anything. So
there are, but they weren't open when we were there.
No, okay. Yeah.
So, but
there's no supermarkets to nick down and get you €3 bottle of wine or anything.
No, that's true. But the City Hall is an impressive grand building with a bright facade and 3 distinctive glazed ceramic domes.
I was going to say the domes are amazing. Once again, check out the picture I got of those.
Yeah, like the building itself is worth the visit.
It's probably the most impressive building in the whole city.
Yeah, for sure. No problem. Now, we'll tell you the legend of Maria Pita. During a critical moment...
It's called Maria Pita Plaza, and you've mentioned her before,
Yeah, during a critical moment of the assault, Maria Pita's second husband, Gregorio, was killed by an English crossbow bolt. Filled with rage and grief, Maria Pita grabbed a spear from a fallen Englishman, killed the soldier, and seized the English flag. She then stood on the city walls and shouted, "Whoever has honour, follow me." So that's the legend. And there's this beautiful, and it is a very beautiful, impressive statue.
Yeah, I've got a picture
of
that
Maria
too.
Pita. Yeah, so that was true.
Now, as you leave the major plaza there, you go out to the shopping street. Now, this shopping street is basically on the side of the buildings that face the water, right?
Correct.
So on the front side, it
runs parallel to those buildings.
So this is where people go shopping. Now, can we explain about the merchants and how they this area happened. Okay, let me tell you my memory, and then you give me the facts. So the nobility people, they were basically had the old town, and with the shipping and all the trade that was going, the merchants became very wealthy, and they wanted to have restaurants, and they wanted to have nice houses and theatres and things. And there was basically no room in the old town, and the nobility had their coat of arms. So the merchants started to build their own houses that were fancy, and they decorated them with flowers on the outside, not real flowers, but carved flowers, and a woman who I think you can tell us about who she was. And they set up shopping streets because people wanted to spend their money, and they set up tapas or restaurants because people wanted to go out to eat. So just outside the plaza, which is like the edge of the old town, it just all starts happening. It's like you literally cross from the quiet, noble area into the busy merchant area.
And it goes like from 12th century, and you cross a road, and then it's late 19th, early 20th century.
Yeah.
That's how distinct it is.
And I imagine back in the day where it would have been quiet, and then all of a sudden the merchants are all out partying in the streets and that sort of thing. And this is where you want to see, this is where you want to be. I mean, you want to be in this area where it's all happening. And then on top of that, further down, there's obviously all the modern shops and things now. But to walk along the main shopping street, like he told us also about all the jewelers. Yeah. So Franco had a house here. This is the dictator. That was in Spain for many years. And he would come here, or his wife would come.
Well, they'd both come on holidays. Basically, they had the summers here.
And so she would, the Mrs. Franco would go into the jewelers and just, pick what she wanted. And they had no choice but to give it to her.
Well, how Alex actually explained it to us was that businesses face pressure to donate to Franco and his wife.
But they all sort of got together, the jewelers, and said, let's just put in.
It was almost like an insurance scheme. So no one ever knew which jeweler Franco's wife would go in, and she just basically
they knew when she was in town.
But they know when she was in town. So what they do is they get rid of all their really good jewelry and put it in the safes and that sort of thing. But then they all put money in together, so that whoever did lose, whoever Franco's wife took the jewelry from, everybody would compensate them for that.
Yeah.
So, but even today, this it's still a bit of a thing about Franco.
Well, it's still owned by his family, and they're trying to get it back off.
Yeah. So basically, I've got the provincial authority of A Coruña has launched a legal battle to expropriate a mansion used by the 20th century dictator Francisco Franco as a summer residence, arguing the former general's heirs have no right to enjoy the ownership of plunder. So, it's an ongoing thing.
Now, did you remember that Picasso lived here as a teenager?
I didn't.
Yeah. So he told us that, and there's a museum to him. So he lived here until he was 13.
Oh, really? Oh, that's right. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Well, what Liam was talking about was basically the merchants went and were very nove. And Alex explained how towards the late 19th century and early 20th century, when new industries and banks were installed, which served as the basis of the modern city's economy, Coruña began to improve its infrastructure, and many houses were built with special relevance to the bourgeois and artistic movements reflected in their architecture, such as modernism. The modernistic houses of the city are characterized by recurrent use of plant motifs. This is better understood knowing that part of the inspiration comes from the East and mainly Japanese influence. Now, the reason why they say Japanese is because this was the city port, and the merchants basically traveled to all these exotic places, and they brought back all this amazing architecture and that no one had ever seen before. And because they were making so much money, they could do it. Also, women's faces, very similar, all of them, were frequent in the facades of the buildings. It is said that all these busts are representations of a specific woman, Elizabeth Siddell, poet, artist, and British model. Spanish artisan techniques are also used, like Arabic tiles and glazed ceramics, as a reminder and admiration for forms of non-industrial past. These luxury residents pretended to show the economic prosperity and the cultural concerns of their owners.
So that's what we're saying. So they built these beautiful homes with this unusual, not unusual, but different to the old architecture, with lots of decorated facades. And I've got some really lovely photos of some of those buildings as well.
And as each building went up, the new owners were more and more elaborate. And it is actually amazing to see how beautiful these buildings' facades are.
So we would never have found out about all of that if we had not done the walking tour. I'll put a link to the walking tour we do on the webpage.
Yeah, and as you move further away, so you've got, well, on the coast itself, you had the old town, which there was plenty of historical buildings and not many people. Then next to that was the merchants area. And then the third area, it was basically the modern city. And it was bloody like Madrid, really. Like the beautiful modern buildings and shopping was unbelievable.
But part of that merchant area was the tapas.
Yeah.
And we spent, I think, first couple of days just trying to find somewhere around where we were. And then we spoke to Sam from Sydney and also Alex, our guide. And they both sent us to the same place.
Yeah.
And we were just like, I wish we'd found this on the first day. No, it was just one of the best tapas areas that we've been to. I really enjoyed. It was cheap. It was yummy, local.
It was standing room only?
Yeah, it was standing. It was great, wasn't it? And there was one in particular that Sam recommended. I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah, okay. So what happened was I couldn't think of it either.
Oh.
And I've forgotten, I'd written it in my little notebook.
Yeah.
But I Googled it, distinct areas of tapas in A Coruña. And at first one that came up was La Bombilla.
Okay.
So which now I'll spell that for the folks. It was La L-A, Bombilla is B-O-M-B-I-L-L-R. So with the double L in Spanish, it's a yacht sound, so it's La Bombilla. Look, it was just so traditional. And again, we were standing in a standalone out the front, having some cervezas and some tapas, and it was packed. There was people everywhere, and it was all local.
Yeah.
And it just had this really good vibe. Anyway, so part of this Google search, it also gave us some other places.
So I'll put a map in the webpage, I'll put all these locations on that map. But we did a bit of a tapas crawl that day, didn't we? Yeah, I thought that was great. And then the tapas area sort of blends into some more shopping area, which then goes up into the modern town. And there was like a square, like a plaza. We went up and you bought some trousers, remember?
Yeah.
So there was a lot happening in that merchant type area, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But very much not tourism area. It was very much local.
We didn't meet any other tourists. Even the people on the walking tour were Spanish.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So the key spots for the food.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, let's tell us those.
Okay, as we've said, La Bombilla.
Yep.
Then there's another place called Bar Victoria, and great for high-quality pinchos. And there's one of the things they say you should try, which is called Racho. Racho is spelled R-A-X-O. The X in Galician comes out as C-H.
Who never knew you'd get in a travel podcast and a Spanish language lesson? Good on, you know.
Oh, yeah. I think you just had a go at me then. Try this Galician pork dish at a classic spot like Casa Manola. So Casa Manola is C-A-S-A. Manola is M-A-N-O-L-O.
All right. So we have given you a huge overview of A Coruña. It's different to anywhere else you'll go in Spain.
Absolutely.
And I have to say the first day or so, I'm like, like it's nice, but we're used to the bustling cafes and restaurants on the ocean and people around and that sort of that vibe. And it wasn't until you sort of understand the city a bit more and find the rest of it that it all makes sense. And then you realise it's so unique, right?
Oh, I think the best thing we did there was the walking tour with Alex.
I agree.
Because we understood it.
Now, as I said, I've got pictures of where we stayed, our view, the promenade, the beach, the buildings with the glass in them, the old town, that huge plaza. I've got it all in pictures. And that's the website Beach Travel Wine episode. This is episode 141. So until next time when we're back in...
Well, hang on. Where's your favourite place to have a drink?
Oh, at La Bombilla.
Oh, yeah, I knew you'd say that. I knew it was. It was just because you really felt like part of the vibe, didn't you?
Yeah.
Whereas I probably would have gone a nice glass of wine
on the
balcony of the apartment, because really that apartment was fabulous.
Go and check out the views.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll see you again. We've still got a few more episodes coming up from about Spain and one more in Galicia. So the next place was a real shock, and you had no idea that you're going to enjoy it so much, and something that we've never done in Spain before. So we look forward to putting that episode together. So it's hasta luego from me.
And it's adios, mis amigos, from me.